He is a cyber security consultant with I4C in MHA, and I hope he is here. Roshi, can you hear me?
Yes, Viral, I'm here. Yeah.
Oh, great, great. So handing over to you, Roshi. Stage is all yours.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Thanks, Colonel Sir, for the excellent direction on the national security, and thanks, Viral, for the opportunity. So I'll try to keep short and make it interesting. So I'll continue with what Sir said with regards to the pillars of national security. So one would be economy. So first, introducing myself, I am currently providing my professional service to I4C Home Ministry, and I've done my master's in cybersecurity with some experience in Big Fours and worked across all the domains, almost all the domains of cybersecurity. And right now, I'm working on the fintech part here. So this would be the flow of the presentation, and most of them would be practical, so that you can relate to what you are doing and how can you include these things in your work. So to start with, just giving a background, why is fintech investigation important? So recently there were news before 4 or 5 days that Zimbabwe is under the control of China. Right now, what is happening is China gave huge amount of money to Zimbabwe for their infrastructure development, but it was unable to pay the money back. So now what happened is, since they have defaulted on the money, they are poor, they don't have money, so they have to come under the Chinese control, because they as per the agreement. So that's where the finance and economy come into picture and the importance of fintech investigation. So what happens is, whenever there is these type of fraud, the financial fraud, smaller or larger, there is an impact on the country. So what happens is, there can be terrorist funding, there can be looting of innocent people, there can be business losses, GST evasions, money laundering. So these are all the byproducts of the fintech related crimes, right? So just a question for the audience to keep the session interactive. Can anyone answer this over chat? That is it possible to loot someone, or is it possible to empty the bank account of someone who has no balance? Any wild thoughts or any ideas on it? Like, let's say I have 0 rupees in my bank account. Can you defraud me?
Yes, recently there were some cases in which similar things were happened.
How?
Money
yes, how is it possible?
Currently don't know the complexity, like how technically how it has happened, but yes, I have seen the cases in which these things has happened.
Excellent. So this is where the finance and the fintech comes into picture. Anyone, any other one wants to give a try? Like, I don't have any money in my bank account, still I get looted.
Sir, we get looted by their some personal details.
No. Money wise, it would be monetary. Like, I have to be monetary looted. I mean, I could be looted by 50,000, 60,000 rupees. Yeah.
By giving loan?
How? Okay, fine.
Yes,
so
yes, sir, it is possible. Yes, sir. Okay. It is possible.
Yes,
how is it? Yes, yeah, it is a possible.
Sir, it is also possible. Like, suppose, like, you give, like, somehow your credit card details are stolen.
So no, not credit card. I mean, credit card is not involved here. It's just the bank account.
Okay.
सर, बैंक अकाउंट से भी ये पॉसिबल है. तो किस तरह से पॉसिबल है कि अगर आपका उसमें नंबर अगर हैक हो जाता है, आपका अकाउंट हैक हो जाता है, उसके बाद में अगर आपके पास में उसमें बैलेंस भी नहीं है, तो उसके ऊपर से लोन लेके भी आपसे फ्रॉड हो सकता है, और वो पैसा आपके ऊपर आएगा और आपको भरना होगा. इस तरह से होगा. अगर आपके पास बैलेंस नहीं है, फिर भी आप उसके शिकार बन सकते हैं.
Correct. So that's a very accurate answer. For illegal activity. Fine. So we'll move on. So the best answer was given by Satish ji, and what happens here is, there is a product in the bank called pre-approved personal loan. Technically speaking, it's called PAPL, which every bank says. तो अगर आपका बैंक में 0 money है, then also the fraudster can log into your net banking, apply for a PAPL, और instantly आपको 5 लाख 10 लाख sanction हो जाएंगे, and then it would be transferred. So this is what fintech is. I mean, it's a bit complex, and कभी पता ही नहीं रहता कि even this is possible. So moving forward, fintech definition, I mean, we'll not go in the definition part, but it's generally like koi technology on the basis of which we get the payments. So I've provided one screenshot of UPI, wherein all these different type of products which comes under fintech, those are active in India. And there are two other terms called as RegTech and SupTech. I mean, these are again given by Reserve Bank of India. So one handles like the technology that enables regulations is called REG Tech, and second one is a technology which enables supervision for fintech. It's called. So these are the growing areas, and fraudsters are using it very intelligently. We'll explore how. So just to give you a scale on the India's fintech industry, this is the data taken from RBI's annual report. If you see the last column, 2021, and the total number of payments, it's huge. It's almost 14 crores. That was the total amount of digital transaction that took place. And on the left corner, if you see the credit transfer, these are all the products and all the fintech components: Aadhaar enabled payment system, electronic clearing system, instant money transfer, NSCH, NEFT, UPI, BHIM. So if you are into this field, if you are into the fintech forensics and investigation, these all fields should be clear on your side, like what is PPI, the fifth one, the prepaid payment instrument. So this is the current structure. So day by day, the digital transactions are going up like anything. People are adopting it. So as the fraudsters. So we'll start with the basic terms for any fintech infrastructure. Let's say if it's PhonePe, taking an example of PhonePe. So what all things are involved inside PhonePe or any other fintech companies? So these 6 I have noted down, and since this is a new field, to understand the difference between small finance bank, payment bank, wallet. Don't confuse Google Pay with the wallet. Don't confuse payments bank with small finance banks, because these are all technically different operating styles. Second is the terms. So most important is core banking solution. So in India, almost 99% of the banks have core banking solutions of TCS and Infosys. So one is Finacle and other one is I think banks, TCS banks. And there are different products as discussed, like UPI, IMPS, NEFT, ATM, micro ATMs, Aadhaar enabled systems, cards. Also there are nodal accounts, escrow account, merchant accounts, payment aggregators like Razorpay, JustPay. Now every payment operator, they have their own application as well, mobile and web. So while you are doing investigation or any forensics, you need to know the concepts on application investigation as well as API investigation, network hosting investigation, cloud, domain. Next, going forward, you also need to be aware about the new developments. So let's say new concept is neo banking, wherein it would have no branches and it will have partner bank behind it. The new concept called new umbrella entity has been developed by RBI, and many big corporates including Reliance and Tata have applied for that. Cryptocurrency, obviously we have the developments. Next is also in the fintech there is investments, so you need to be aware about how exchanges work: Bombay Stock Exchange, National Stock Exchange, equity, bond, mutual funds, how lending works, because lately we have seen cases pertaining to the loans and lending. So again, the first question is related to this, that if you don't know what is lending, like how loans are given, then you cannot solve the case which says that I didn't have any money in my bank, still I got looted. Also, everything is facilitated by telecom, because everything has SIM binding or phone level binding. You get SMS on every credit debits. So even telecom is involved in the fintech structure. So overall, if we need to proceed, these things has to be clear on how to take approach on the investigation front. So let's have a question here again. So problem statement. Someone comes to you and asks, it shows you the first screenshot that sir, my money got debited from my HDFC bank, and this is the message that has been shown. Can anyone, any one of you unmute and tell what has happened here? what can you deduce from the first screenshot? That was on 26th August.
There has been a fund transfer to some another account.
Is it a fraud or is it not a fraud?
Well, we also need to see, you're just showing the part of the screenshot, but where has it come from?
Right. So, I mean, when there is a case that comes to the person, we don't know what has happened before getting the details. But to read what is written, I'll read fund TRF means transfer, exactly right. Then there is DM. DM full form is debit moratorium. So again, that's a fintech term. What do you mean by debit moratorium? Next, there is this number. It looks like credit card number.
Yes.
Okay. Right now. Again, it starts with 5459, so I think it's HDFC Bank's credit card number. So this is how you proceed with the minimalistic information. Now, there is a credit card payment and it is possible only through mostly net banking, and that is through net banking because it's showing fund transfer. Had it been other UPI transfer, it would be showing the UPI. Fine. So when going forward, we got to know that it was a genuine transaction, it was not fraud. Okay, moving next. Second screenshot, cutting it short, I'll not ask because it's clearly visible that money has been spent on no broker technologies. Now, again, this is a fintech space. What is no broker technologies? You need to know. If you have been into house hunting, you would know that no broker is a company that is used that gives you homes without any broker. Now, they have also a feature to pay the rent using your credit card. So this is very widely used by fraudster to take your money out of your credit card. So again, as someone said, even if you don't have money, you can be defrauded by credit card. So they'll take your credit card, use on no broker, and they'll transfer the money outside. Yes. So next step in digging deeper. So once you get this screenshot, what you do next is you have something called a statement analysis. So once you get statement, it's little cryptic. Every bank has their own way of mentioning the transaction. So if you see here, this is an actual statement of one of my colleagues. So if you see the top one, it's written POS Visa. Second one, UPI. Third one, IMPS RIB. Fourth that is highlighted is POS Visa. And last one, it's written ATM NFS. Can anyone tell what is NFS? In the last screenshot, what do you mean by NFS? ATM-NFS.
I think it's a cash withdrawal from some other bank, but not of the same bank.
Not exactly correct. So NFS means National Financial Switch. So ATM, every ATM has their own network. So majorly, I think there is a network of Visa, there is a network of MasterCard, and NFS is Indian network, which is operated by National Payments Corporation of India. So the ATM from which it was withdrawal was on the network of NPCI product, fintech product, that is NFS. So this would be helpful in getting the details that even if bank is not providing us the detail, we can go to NPCI and say, okay, your product was used, kindly provide us some details on the ATM terminal ID or where the money has been transferred or which ATM was used. Again, if we see it's written IMPS RIB. Does anyone know who owns IMPS? Through which organization IMPS transaction takes place? IMPS means instant money transfer. So immediately your money gets transferred from through your net banking. So yes, IMPS is owned and managed by National Payments Corporation of India. If it's NEFT, it is facilitated by Reserve Bank of India. So this is all about statement analysis. If you are going into this field, you need to take statements of top 10 banks fraud wise, and you need to see the naming conventions on how they are putting it inside the statement to get more details. So next step would be the data collection and communication. So while collecting the data, the most important part in any fintech investigation is because fintech investigation starts with a debit transaction. Always there is a fraud saying that I got my money lost. And then we need to figure out how did it happen. So for every money transaction, there is a 12-digit number that is generated, which is called as RRN number, or people call it transaction ID, UTR number. So that is very important for starting the investigation. Next step, to cut short the investigation time, since we know that these 5 major products, those are highly used in India, that is UPI, IMPS, APS, NFS, RuPay. So all these are managed by NPCI. So if there is a delay in the bank, then you can go to them. If NPCI is delaying it, you can go to banks. Third one is, when you know that, okay, there is this no broker technologies, there is some company called as no broker technologies where the money has been transferred. And there is always a ground level delay in finding the contact address. So what you can do is, there is a portal of Ministry of Corporate Affairs. You can see it, see the link on the bottom. So you just enter the company name there and you will be able to see the details of the directors. At least email address you can get for free, and for more you need some access, additional access. So this is how you can immediately get the contact of the place where the money is debited. Not in case of merchants, because you will get the gateway name. Also, same data, multiple information source. What does it mean is, let's say if there is a transaction, in case of this transaction which is shown on the screen, the information about the transaction will be with all these people: Axis Bank, credit card provider, merchant bank, merchant gateway, even the Google account, because many times people sign up on no broker using Google account. So it's not like we are not getting data. We can fire the mail to all of these people to get data, and fastest data that we get, we can move forward. So since fintech, we showed that it's a complex structure, even SMS is involved. So you can even contact Airtel, because Airtel was used to send message like the time of debit to just verify. So this is the data communication and collection part. And typically how the fraud takes place. So in security, we have a term called as defense in depth. Attackers also use this for attacking in depth. So what they do is, they reach out to masses using SMS, online ads, social media. Again, these 3 are anonymous and mostly done from fake platforms. They reach out to victims. Victims pay on the payment gateway. Why payment gateway? Because it adds an additional layer of protection for fraud. If he is directly getting the money in his account, then he'll be caught. So they have a payment gateway. Payment gateway, let's say Razorpay or PayUmoney. So that's a fintech product. Every payment gateway has their own bank account. That's called nodal or escrow account. From that account, money goes for any online purchase, or they from the settlement, they take money out of ATM. And also last part is, if there is an international scam, they take the money out through cryptocurrency. So I hope we have 1 or 2 crypto experts here as well. They would be able to comment. So this is the typical cycle of attack in depth, and everywhere everything is anonymous. Generally they don't reveal their own identity. Yes. So just summarizing the modus operandi is what is happening. Recently there were incidents in Kolkata, I think. So they did an MITM on ATMs, which was an ISO message tampering. So again, ATM is a fintech product. We can consider under fintech product. And next is all the UPI based frauds, rent payment as we discussed. Then there is loan sharking. It happened and there were many suicides. It was in news that people, they just gave loan by just if you just install the application, mobile app, they'll give you loan, but in return they'll take all your photos of gallery, and so there were many issues related to it. There are merchant and payment gateway misuse. There are net banking frauds, Aadhaar based frauds. And summing up, whenever there is a new product that is launched, there will be a fraud. So these people finds out a way on how to exploit that product, right? So these are all the common modus operandis. Now, some solutions from your part, because we have good people here. So this is a fraud that you would be seeing, and I can't attribute it as local. It could be local as well as international. But can you tell what is the solution here? I mean, lately, if you see Twitter analytics, and if you just search for NG Rock inside Twitter and do some sentiment analysis, you will see that there were thousands of reports pertaining to ngrock.io. Now, I'll tell you the possible solutions. What can we do? First one is, we cannot block ngrock because it's used by developers as well. Then next one is, what happens is, we cannot even find out the numbers, because majority of the numbers are maybe from the fake KYC. And third one is we also cannot ask NGROC to block this link, because there are thousands of links, so it keeps on generating. So any solution that we have it here. So that's how it's complex it is, the problem. And we'll go next. So this is happening right now, and this is the live screenshot. So mostly international. I did my personal research on it. So what is happening is, inside this fintech space, first since people want to earn online, they'll have a Google ad and they'll show a website. When you click on that website, there is a WhatsApp hyperlink, and all these beautiful girls are ready to chat with you that sir will be giving you a part-time job, sir will be so I had an opportunity to chat with all these beautiful faces which are obviously fake, and they promise you to give you part-time jobs. And this chat took place in just half an hour, and every time you reload the page, this website, the person's number changes and it will open in your WhatsApp. So just see the gravity of what is happening. I mean, they all are Indian numbers, and when we tried chatting with them in Hindi, they were not able to answer it. I called one of the girls by just social engineering method, and then she was speaking in the other accent. So this is the scale. And if you see the fraud count, I cannot reveal that, but what I can share in the public domain is there are shell companies attached to it. There are round robin transactions. If you don't know round robin transactions, just you can Google it, because we are having less time. But these are generally used to increase the turnover of the company. There are payment gateways, private key and hash sharing. So simplifying, if I am running a website, gateway is given to me for that particular site only for my particular business. Here what is happening is these people are taking gateway service from legitimate companies. So that's called gateway sharing, which is again a breach in the agreements. They have local agents involved, and again there are chances that there is a cryptocurrency angle to it also. So while we were having this session, I got a message from this beautiful lady that sir, kindly register on this site, and you would have seen the Amazon part-time job thing as well. So what I have seen it personally is it's not Indian. These are not Indian. They are taking money outside. Now there are two parts to fraud. If the money remains in India, then it's, let's say it's wrong, I know, but it could be acceptable that it's rotating inside India. What if money is going outside India? So let's say there was a power bank case and it's in public domain. So it went to, I think, the mother country. So what if the money goes out of India? Your country is getting weaker because your currency, your money, and as Colonel had said in his previous talk, that your money is going outside in case then economy is getting hurt. Now, speaking on the concept of guns and butter, you won't be able to buy guns if your country is running out of money. And I'm not exaggerating the situation, but the money that is going outside could be huge. It's not a small amount, and so that has to be some things that is done. So if you are working in this field, fintech investigation, these are the institutes that you must, organizations that you must stay aware of. Reserve Bank and SEBI, because they manage the banking and investment regulations. NPCI is the largest, I think, in terms of transaction count, they have grown like anything. IBA is an Indian Banking Association, which is a very powerful body for all the banks. So in case you need to pass some regulation or some push some things which RBI may take some time in implementing, IBA can step in. We have Financial Intelligence Unit, which again steps in for any financial anti-money laundering related key things. Payment Council of India, again, it's a fintech association. So most of the fintech companies are part of PCI. So it's not PCI DSS, it's different. So here it's Payment Council of India, and this can be referred to for any type of intervention. Also, we have Ministry of Corporate Affairs, because all the merchants and the nodals who are present in the ecosystem of finance, they get certified through MCA. So because you need a company to be a large scale merchant. Also, we have SARSAI who manages the central KYC. So whenever there is a requirement, they can be contacted. And to cut short, I like to have some practical recommendation rather than like this should be done, that should be done. I mean, these are the actual practical recommendations that all of us can be included in. So first one is use fintech to understand fintech. I have seen many people who say that I don't use Google Pay, it is not safe, and then they are investigating the Google Pay frauds. That's not possible, because you need to know each and every nook and corner of UPI, each and nook and corner of the application, to at least get an idea on what is happening. You cannot just investigate unless you know the things, right? Second one is PPP model, that is I think adopted by many states. That is much useful, that you take in private talents, you pay the companies based on the cases solved, so that these new age crimes can be tackled upon. Second one is investigation. Third one is investigation must be accompanied by policy level recommendations. Many times it has been seen that there is an investigation, but there is no recommendations on what can we do next, so that next person does not get defrauded. So these can be definitely submitted so that frauds don't occur. And I have seen that technically it is possible to stop these kind of frauds by fixing some things. Next, for all the startup enthusiasts here who are working and planning to do some work in fintech forensics, which is again a new branch that will come up in future. So C3I by IIT Kanpur, they are funding these projects on cyber security. So if you are interested, you can apply for that, and initially they'll give some money as seed funding. And if you have a good project idea, then you can pitch to them to the C3I IIT Kanpur, and especially for fintech tools, which we don't have as of now, and it can be taken forward. For all the AppSec guys here, application security, I've been in this field and I've seen that there is no category called as fraud resilience checks. Again, this is a new term that I have coined. It's not there. So what happens is, let's say there is an application, we test it for the security issues. That there could be SQL injection, there could be data breach, there could be some open AWS S3 buckets, but they don't check for fraud resilience. So how can that application be used by fraudsters? Typically smaller frauds that you have seen in the recent documentaries like Jamtara and Money Mafia. So this testing has to be included inside the plan of security assessment, because many times we have seen his application is secure in terms of vulnerabilities, but it is not secure in terms of frauds. So I'll not name, there were many, but also okay, fine. We'll move next. Next is pattern and analytics based thing has to be implemented by banks and telecom operators. So this is a solution that sits on top of your core banking system. So let's say if there is a savings account which is newly opened and it is receiving thousands of incoming transactions, so then there could be an analytic solution. Again, this is an idea for the startups, that a solution could be built upon to just monitor the patterns of the money that is coming in. And it could be, yes. So it could be done through many ways. As Krishna suggested, it could be AI based, but again, it requires a good amount of work because you get huge amount of data here and learning thing. Next, business logic testing. Again, for hardcore security guys, I know it's not that apart from IDOR, there are no major checks that are mentioned in OWASP security testing guidelines. So what happens in business logic testing is it differs product by product. So if there is a fintech product called as Google Pay, you cannot apply all the test cases of Google Pay on another fintech product that is, let's say, micro ATMs. So generally it goes testing wise. I mean, you have a checklist, but you have to understand the business. So when you are dealing with the application security, sit with the business team to understand the business instead of sitting with the ISC team, that is the information security team, who is giving you the walkthrough and who has hired you. Just ask them that we need to understand the business on why is this product created, how many roles are there, who would be using it, so that you can design your test cases accordingly. And I would repeat, this will not be same for all the products. So if you are into VAPT domain, you have to sit with the business team to understand. Next, last one, if you are interested in some open source news, you can use the keyword duped. That's a very interesting term. This is my last slide. So I'll just show how does it work. So we get generally information on what everyone is doing by this just keyword. Yeah, so lot of things. Chandigarh 2 men duped of 1.5 lakh rupees. IAS officer duped while trying to buy liquor online. So these are all the only one keyword that we have figured out, that's duped. So this is the media term that they are used, and that could be found out. So I'll end. There are many things. Again, this is a very new field and a vast area to investigate. So open to question. I'll keep my. I think I have been on time. Fine.
Thank you, Rushi. Rushi, it was an amazing session. Thank you so much.
Yep.
I was saying the same. Thank you, Saritesh. So there are a few questions in the message board if you would like to look upon, and yes, you can even take the questions here and give your answer. Or else we'll move forward to next session.
Yeah, we can take a couple of questions. 1 second, let me check. So is there a possibility to have some solution like True